What kind of ring is it? Are you an expert on what's...
I'm not an expert on it all. I've been reliably informed it's a sapphire with some diamonds, but I'm sure everyone recognises it from previous times.
In October 2018, Princess Catherine walked into a state banquet, and by the next morning, it was all anyone could talk about. Not the gown, not the guest list. It was two things she was wearing, one at her ears and one just above her brow, that hadn't been seen in public in years.
It is a family ring, yes. It's my mother's engagement ring. So I thought it was quite nice because obviously she's not going to be around to share any of the fun and excitement of it all. This is my way of keeping her sort of close to it all.
To most people, they looked like beautiful jewels and nothing more. But to anyone who really knows this family, they carried a meaning so personal that wearing them in that room changed everything. Here's the story behind the pieces and why they left the whole country talking. The ring that started everything. To understand the banquet, you have to go back 8 years to a footbridge in Kenya, because the story of that night did not begin at the banquet. It began with a question a young man asked on a bridge, and the answer he gave when he was asked what he had used to ask it. It was November 2010 when Prince William proposed to Catherine, though the world only heard the details when the couple sat down for their engagement interview afterward. And here is the thing most people forget. William did not hand her a new ring made for the occasion. He gave her the sapphire that had lived on his mother's hand since 1981. 12 carats of oval Ceylon blue, wrapped by 14 round diamonds, set in white gold. It was the ring King Charles had given Diana when he proposed. And after Diana died in 1997, it passed to her sons. In that televised engagement interview, William explained why in a way that has haunted the ring ever since. He said, giving Catherine his mother's ring was his way of keeping Diana close to it all, so that she could share in their life together even though she was gone. Think about what that means. A piece of jewelry stopped being jewelry in that sentence. It became a way to put a woman who had died back into the room. And here is a detail even the royal watchers miss. When Diana chose that ring in 1981, she picked it from a tray of options the jeweler offered rather than commissioning something bespoke. People sniffed at that. They called it ordinary because anyone with the money could have walked in and bought the same ring. But they were wrong about what mattered. Charles reportedly favored it because it looked like a sapphire brooch that had belonged to Queen Victoria, a piece Queen Elizabeth II had treasured. So the stone on Catherine's finger reaches back nearly 200 years through Diana, all the way to Victoria herself. But William was not the only son who had a claim to that ring, and how it ended up on Catherine's hand instead of somewhere else is its own quiet story. After Diana died, her two sons divided her personal things between them. Prince Harry has written that when the moment came, he knew the sapphire belonged with William, that his brother was the rightful heir to it. So the ring moved from a mother to a son to the woman that son would marry. Every step was a choice. Nobody was forced. And that is what makes what she wears it with so striking. If you are already hooked on the hidden meaning behind the crown's most personal treasures, subscribe now, because the next piece is the one Diana loved most, and Catherine has been quietly rebuilding it. The earrings Diana loved. Sapphires were Diana's stone. If you remember her at all, you remember her in blue. The double-drop sapphire earrings Catherine wears came from a suite gifted to Diana by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia around the time of her 1981 wedding. And Diana did not leave that suite alone. She wore those stones as earrings, as a necklace, even as a headband, reshaping them over the years because that was who she was. She made the pieces her own. Watch what Catherine does with them, and you will see something clever. She has worn the sapphire drops at Trooping the Color and at the Sandringham Christmas Walkabout, sometimes building an entire outfit in shades of blue just to let the stones carry the moment. On some occasions, she wears them stripped down to a single gem instead of the full double drop, a small modern touch that keeps Diana's jewels feeling alive instead of frozen. And she may have gone further than anyone realized. It is believed Catherine had part of Diana's sapphire suite reset into a daintier necklace that suits her own quieter style. If that is true, it is exactly what Diana did decades earlier, breaking the same gift apart and remaking it as her life changed. Reports suggest the reset is real, though the palace has never spelled it out. So think about what that means. She is not treating Diana's jewelry like something too sacred to touch. She is using it the way Diana used it. And that habit, that refusal to lock these pieces in a vault, is exactly what leads us to the crown that stopped the room in 2018, the tiara and the state banquet. Now we come back to that banquet hall, and the thing at her brow that should not have been there. The Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara is one of the most recognizable crowns in the entire royal collection, and for one reason. Diana wore it constantly through the 1980s, so constantly that it became almost inseparable from her, even though it was known to be heavy, even uncomfortable, to wear for hours. After she died, the tiara went back into the vault. For years it stayed there, too soaked in her memory to bring out lightly. And then, Catherine brought it back. She wore it publicly for the first time in December 2016, at the diplomatic reception at Buckingham Palace, the largest and most tightly guarded reception the palace holds, the kind that takes the master of the household hours to plan. That was the signal. But it was the October 2018 state banquet where she did the thing people still talk about. Because it was not just the tiara that night. Look lower at her ears. She had paired Diana's lover's knot tiara with Diana's Collingwood pearl earrings and wrapped the whole look in a sweeping pale blue gown. Two of Diana's most personal pieces worn together in the same look, in a room built to display the living power of the crown before foreign guests. Not one nod to the past, two stacked on the same body on the same night. Here is why that lands so hard. The Collingwood pearls were a wedding gift to Diana, and she wore them so often in the early years that they became fused to the image of the young Princess of Wales the whole world fell in love with. So, when Catherine chose the tiara above and the pearls below, she was not making a fashion choice. She was stacking one piece of Diana on top of another. To anyone old enough to recognize them, the message needed no words. It rose up out of the two jewels on its own. Diana was in the room, and she said nothing about it. That is the part that gets me. No announcement, no explanation, no press line saying, "Tonight I honor my late mother-in-law." The whole thing lived silently in the objects, and in the memory of the people who knew where to look. Guests smiled and toasted and never felt the ground shift. But the ones who knew, knew. That is the unexpected moment everyone is really talking about. Not a scene, not a scandal. A woman walking into a state banquet wearing her predecessor's two most famous jewels at once, saying nothing, and letting the room work out for itself what it was seeing. But if the tiara is how she honors Diana in public, the ring on her hand is where the story took a turn almost nobody expected. The rings she wears and the rings she rests. For more than a decade after her 2010 engagement, Catherine was almost never seen without Diana's sapphire. It had become part of her, as fixed as her own name. And then, starting in 2024, people noticed something strange. On day after day, the great sapphire was gone, replaced by a slim sapphire and diamond eternity band. Why would she suddenly rest the most famous ring in the world? The timing tells you almost everything. 2024 was one of the cruelest years the family had faced. Catherine was being treated for cancer. King Charles received his own cancer diagnosis that same year. And when she announced she had completed chemotherapy in September 2024, watchers noticed the simpler band on her finger, not the heirloom. Many believed that Eternity Band was a gift from William, a private marker of a brutal year survived, of a marriage tested and holding. There is a plainer reason too. The Diana sapphire is large, historic, and now valued in the region of $500,000. For the school run, for an ordinary working day, a lighter ring simply lives better on the hand. So it appears she made a gentle call. Save Diana's ring for the moments that ask for it, and let something simpler carry the ordinary days. And then came the moment that made royal watchers lean in again. At Wimbledon in the summer of 2025, she appeared with every ring stacked together at once, the Diana sapphire back among them. Royal watchers read meaning into it, seeing a woman who had come through the storm and could finally wear the full weight of her history on one hand again. Because her ring finger is not just jewelry, it is a record. Diana's sapphire sits beside a slim Welsh gold wedding band. There is a sapphire and diamond eternity band from the recent years. Each ring marks a chapter, a person, a milestone, all of it stacked on one hand without a single word spoken. And at the center of it sits the blue stone that ties her, and William, straight back to the woman who started all of it. So, what do you actually do with all of this? Why it matters? Here is the part that stays with you. Catherine never met Diana, She married into this family more than a decade after Diana died, married a man whose deepest wound was losing his mother in front of the whole world. She could have kept her distance from all of it. Diana's memory is complicated, still raw, still able to swallow any headline it touches. Handling it carelessly would have been the easy thing. She did the opposite. She chose to carry it, and not loudly. She carries it in what she wears. Every time she puts on the sapphire earrings, the lover's knot tiara, or slides Diana's ring on for a state occasion, she is choosing to keep the woman present. She reshapes the pieces the way Diana did. She rests them when the moment calls for something lighter, and brings them back when it feels right. None of it is an accident. Every single choice is deliberate, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And for William, this has to mean more than any of us watching can fully know. He said he wanted his mother close to it all. Through Catherine, in the most public arena on earth, that wish gets honored again and again. He never has to ask. He never has to explain. She just does it, quietly, in front of the world, and lets him keep his grief private while she keeps his mother visible. So the next time the Princess of Wales walks into a state banquet and the room drops into the hush, do not look at the gown. Look at the blue stones at her ears. Look at the tiara catching the light above her brow. Somewhere in that glitter is a woman gone for more than 25 years, still present, still remembered, carried into the future by a daughter-in-law she never got to meet. If this moved you, subscribe for more of the hidden meanings woven through the royal family's most treasured possessions. And tell me in the comments, which of Diana's pieces do you most hope to see Catherine wear next?